Ask Farm, where we discuss issue that has to do with rabbitry and or in most of the things you need to know that has to do with rabbitry. And for today, I'll be addressing a question before I move into today's issue, which is a part 2 of our issue, commercial rabbit farming and housing, and how important is housing. I have a question for your friend Matthew. Matthew, I hope I can do little justice to your question, because your question goes like this: can I start rabbit farming in a room? Now, Matthew, yes, you can start rabbit farming in a room. Don't get me wrong, you can start rabbit farming in a room. It's very, very much possible. But now you need to know what you want from them. You need to control the way they breed. You need to know how to manage them when they breed. And you need to make the room comfortable for them to stay. Now, in keeping rabbits in a room, which is what most people I know have done, because if you see 10 people, 10, at least an average of 8 will tell you, as a child, I had rabbits. So now keeping rabbits in a room is not wrong. Don't get me wrong. Now, you should build or make the place so comfortable for them that you can manage them and have good success rate. Now, what do I mean by managing them? Now, I advise you, Matthew, get rice offer, which is the back of rice, enough. Lay it on the floor like a bedding for them. Get dried grass, which is hay. Put the hay on the floor for them, so that when they urinate and they poo, it absorbs the water to make the room a little bit conducive for them. Then finally, please lock the buck. Yes, lock the buck. Now, why am I saying lock the buck? Build a cage in that same room, just a small room for the buck, where he can stay. You take the doors to him, maybe 4 or 5 doors in the room. Now, you take the doors to him. When you take the doors to him, he mates. You mark the gates. You know when they're supposed to litter. You can make 2 this week, 1 the following week, the 2 the 3rd week, just to manage your litters. You can say this is from this, to know what to do and how to get good results from them. In doing them, you can call that cloud like a deep litter system. Same term for poultry, a deep litter system. You manage them that way. It gives you a good edge of what you want to do. Now, I hope I can do more justice. Just try and start. Do you understand? Now, before we move on, please don't forget to click the subscription button and the notification button, so that when we upload weekly videos, you'll be notified. And for today will be a continuation of the previous video we uploaded, commercial rabbit farming housing part 2. Now, in this part 2 session, we'll be breaking little things people take for granted when building cages, and it's very, very important. Now, in going into commercial rabbit farming, be it in a large or small quantity, you decide which section you want to fall into. You're either going to indoor cages or outdoor cages. Now, they both use the same material. The only difference between an indoor and an outdoor cage is, for the outdoor cage, you don't have a shelter over you. For each hutch you're building, you need to roof to protect them from direct rain and sunlight. Now, for an indoor cage, you already have a roof over what you want to build, so you are spending less in terms of the roofing, because there's already a room for your rabbits. Now, I'll be taking the indoor cage for one before I move to the outdoor cage. Now, in building indoor rabbitry, I advise farmers to go online. Some people will say internet farmers or Google farmers. I don't believe there's anything like Google farmers, because there is no much in-depth knowledge in Nigeria, to be precise, concerning rabbit farming. So for any external source of knowledge you can get, please go online and read. Don't allow anybody make you feel down because you read it online and sharing it. No, there's nothing wrong in reading things online, because it's there for you and I, so use it. Now, for indoor cages, I've seen a lot of mistakes, and precisely when the weather is hot is when you notice your mistake. One, let's start with the issue of the housing. You're building a house that is not facing the right direction in terms of weather, sunlight, and sunset. It's a problem. If the sunrise and the sunset is entering your indoor cage, you have a problem. Why? The room will be extremely hot. 1. Then 2, if you don't have a good insulator, one of them a good insulator, make sure the roofing for your indoor cage can withstand good heat. good cold, or will I say excess heat and excess cold, not good heat or good cold, because when the heat is in excess, you have a problem. When the cold is in excess, you have a problem. The cold isn't quite preferable, but the heat is the major problem, because the cold we have here is something that our rabbits can withstand. But the heat is the major factor here now. Because I've seen people with indoor cages in a room. There is no good insulator in terms of there is no ceiling one. Now the ceiling helps you cut down the heat. The direct heat coming on your rabbit is not going to be a problem. So in going into indoor form of farming, make sure you have a room with a good insulator one. Then secondly, it might sound outrageous and funny, you need fan. Either you get a little fan to just make the environment a little bit cold once in a while. Because most indoor cages I have seen, if you're not using a poultry format of indoor cage, like a poultry house that has good ventilation, if it's a building, it's mainly doors and windows. And to me, the windows doesn't give room for good ventilation. Because why? You have the rabbits, not one, not two. You have the urine, building ammonia, which is going to be a serious issue. Then, thirdly, when building indoor cages, most mistakes most people make and are still making in the rabbit industry is the materials you use in building these hutches. They are not cheap, yes, I know, but it is better to start right. Do not try climbing a slippery slope with your eye closed. You won't move. It's already slippery. You're only going backwards. Then your eye is still closed. You won't move. You have no knowledge of what you're getting involved in. You're building things the wrong way. How do you grow? Yes, how do you grow? You're building a cage and you're using poultry wired mesh for the cage, for the surrounding, or for the base. At the end of the day, maximum 6 months, their claws will do the damage. You see your rabbits in this hutch, and it was supposed to be in this hutch. The bugs are fighting, the does are fighting. You can't control the babies. It becomes a problem. It becomes a farm that doesn't have good record. So use good materials. Now, this is half by half galvanized. There is half by half 1.2 and 1.5. This is 1.2. You can get it online. There are people that sell them. A roll ranges from between 44 to 55, depending on your location. Like in the north, it's very, very expensive. Very, very expensive in the north. But down in the west, it's quite affordable. A roll of this can give you good rooms that you will start. It's one thing to be bothered about the room not being okay. You have to make some repairs and you're trying to start to grow and see how you can make something out of it. And the little you make out of it is for repairs. No, use this. Now, in building indoor cages also, I would advise use this. Protect your rabbit. If you won't use this, you can use this. This is coated, not galvanized. It's not as strong as this. Now, why am I recommending this? You can just use this for the surrounding with the mindset of protecting the door and the windows to prevent predators. Because most people, the mistakes I have seen online is building indoor cages and outdoor cages with poultry material. It is not wrong, and this is what I'm saying. This material is for building cage for laying beds, layers. Now when you build a cage with this is very, very strong, no doubt it is strong, but now this space is too much. You see people building indoor cages with this, outdoor cages with this. Your rabbits are not safe. We are in Nigeria. There's nothing like a rat to call you on phone before coming to your house. No. As long as there's a food in your rabbitry, it can eat with the family. It will come there and multiply and become a big menace to your farm. So now, protect your rabbits. This is good, no doubt. I use this in dividing cages. Yes, for partitioning of cages, but not outside. Not outside. When you're using this outside, be it for an indoor cage and an outdoor cage, I don't advise it, because at the end of the day, if you have a worker that decides to leave the door open, or he forgets to lock the door, and there's a rat in the pen or there's a rat in your hutch, it's going to be a problem. So protect your rabbit. If you can't use this coated one, you can get half by half 1.2 mm. It's affordable. A roll should be if I am not mistaken, 23 meters, which is almost 72 feet by 4 feet height. It's very, very good and very, very affordable. Then I don't use this for base, neither do I use this coated, nor do I use this for base. I use half by one for my base, and I use half by one for my base because it doesn't give room for pool to hang on the cage. Some people will tell you, what is it called? Half by half is okay, 1.2 mm is okay. Yes, it's okay. But yeah, when you're using a big size room of 2 by 3, this half by half 1.2 mm must surely sag downward because of the weight. But 1.5 won't sag. Now this is what I'm saying. This is a pool. This is a rabbit pool. If she doesn't step on it, it won't pass. And but when I'm using a half by one, I don't have a cut of a half by one, but I'll show you a quick video in one of the rooms. Now, this is a half by one. It's longer by this edge and so shorter by this edge. No amount of pool can hang here. So now use what you know will last long for you. Some people, yes, I've seen farms that use half by half and it's working for them, no doubt. Yes, it will work for you, but I use half by one. It's scarce, but it's the best. You have less issue in terms of scraping pools that are hanged on the wire and stuff like that. Now let me move on to outdoor cages, because most farmers also use outdoor cages. Outdoor cage is almost the same thing with indoor cage, as I earlier said, but the major issue is just the material. And one major thing you need to concentrate on when building outdoor cages is your roofing. Something that can give your rabbits comfort. I use zinc, but I won't recommend zinc to anyone. I will prefer you use asbestos. Yes, asbestos is scarce in the north, but it's the best. When you're using asbestos, you don't need to start putting ceiling. That is the advantage. So it's just for you cutting costs. I hope I've done a little bit justice to your questions. And when building hutches, as I said, always consider the comfort of your rabbit in terms of ventilation, air, good air, cross ventilation. They need it. They need it. It's not something you can joke around with. It's not something you can say you want to cut corners so that when you start making something, you go back to that same spot to try and make things right. No. Get it right at that first stage, then you move on, because one good thing about these animals is they're highly prolific. In no time, your hutches will be filled up. You don't need to start fixing hutches because you can't control them. And when you have hutches you can't even manage, it's hard to keep record. If you have 2 liters of New Zealand that mix up, you can hardly differentiate them. But when they're in 2 different hutches, you know this is this, this is this. Now, I hope I have done a little bit justice for today. And thank you for your time. Thank you for viewing. Please don't forget to click the subscription button and the notification button. Now, one last thing before I leave, please and please share the video to friends, family, and intending farmers. It will help them. My next week will be a topic that most people having issues in Nigeria: rabbit identification, breeds to keep, commercial breeds, large, small, and medium. Have a lovely day and happy farming.